Okay, so this is gonna be part one of a building a mining rig step by step. The first part is going to be the review on which mining rig is actually the best. There's a lot of there's a, there's a lot of rigs out there. Some for 6 GPUs, some for 8 GPUs. Which one should you go and buy? There's some as cheap as $45, and there's some as expensive as maybe $200. So this is going to be a guide for you to make up your own mind as to what you need. So the I decided to go for 100% aluminum because it dissipates heat a lot better than steel. It's a little bit more expensive. This one I picked up from Amazon for $130. It's called Basiltech. And I'm really impressed. When it finally arrived yesterday, it was nicely packed. The packaging was awesome. It came with instructions. Actually, it came with the information in here from California. This is a company that then ships it. It's called Deals a Day out of CDO Industry in California. It came right away. I was impressed by how they pack and everything that they put in here. Obviously, a mining rig, this is open air, so that means then you have to put it yourself together. It's very different than putting together a gaming PC, because this is specifically for mining. So no one's gonna give you something that is already put together unless you buy used off of eBay, which I wouldn't recommend because we're not gonna go down that path. But the GPUs could actually be completely burned out, so it's something to watch out for. They put all the screws separately. Everything is separately. It put separately in different bags. They even give you a screwdriver, which is really awesome. It reminds me of some of the European screwdrivers that are precision screwdrivers that I have, and this one is not bad at all. It comes for free. It has all the pieces. It has the acrylic for mounting the fans. It does not come with fan, but the aluminum is awesome. So let me go ahead and pause and I'll show you what it looks like. I'll show you the pros and the cons, so actually doing this yourself. So here's the rig put together, right? And you can see it's big. It's supposed to be big because it's open air, and it's supposed to hold all the GPUs, up to 6 GPUs. So you can see the construction of it. This is super thick and light aluminum. This is awesome material, and anything that you put in here is gonna dissipate heat, no problem. Watch out for steel, because the steel is cheaply made, and I seen the price for steel go as up as a $90 for a steel 6 GPU mining rig. It's not worth it. This is 130 and it's 100% aluminum. So in my opinion, is worth every penny, especially with instructions. These are the instructions that came with, compared to another review that another guy did on this Basiltech. This Basiltech rig. I had no problem putting this together. I follow the pictures. The instructions, yes, the instructions could be a little bit better. And the part that really throws you off is not actually the assembling, but it comes to height. And let me tell you what that means. This board, the only thing that is holding this board is actually one screw here and one screw here. So if you loosen them up, this board would actually go down. So it has an adjustable height, and that turns some people off because they want the rig to actually be already marked. As you can see, the aluminum has no marking, so it doesn't tell you when to put the bracket. This bracket here with this bracket here is where the GPUs are going to sit on, And again, the height is adjustable. If you go here and also on the other side, here and here, you'll be able to move this board. You'll be able to move everything up and down to the right height of the GPU. The GPU mounting bracket is right here. So this is where the GPU are going to be resting. So you need to move this board. You need to adjust it. Don't tie it. My advice will be don't tie any of the screws except for the main pieces, the base. Don't tight anything, so you can actually move things up and down and adjust it as they go. As far as the quality is amazing. I'm really impressed. You can see that how this is going to look like. This is where the fans are going to go. You gotta buy your own fans. So on the picture, pretty much they telling you that the guy is, then you should be able to see the fan right here, almost at the same height as the vertical post that they have. Mine is a little bit big, but it's not a problem because I need to put everything together. I need to adjust it. So that's going to determine the height of this. I decided these are the 120 millimeter fans. This is a really good brand. So I decided to pay $20 per fan. So notice then when you go on eBay, you go on Amazon, they sell you 5 fans for as cheap as $40, but you get what you get. And if it's cheap, it's going to be loud. People care about the LEDs. I don't fucking care about LEDs. I don't want this to change colors. I want the heat to be dissipated. I don't want the GPUs to get hot. So for me, that's more important than actually a light show. I don't fucking care about that. So I went with the best of the best. These fans, they're 120 millimeters, and you can mine. This is 4 pins. One thing that I find also is that nobody tells you how to connect this. Nobody tells you online. They already show you how they're putting everything, and on a video they show you everything, but they don't show you how to connect the fans, where the fans go on the motherboard, how you do the daisy chain on the fans. So let's go over that, and let me show you also. Let me introduce the motherboard to you guys too. So one thing that I found on Amazon for $5 is this 4-pin hub for fans for $5. I can actually connect 5 fans here and then connect this plug to a single port on the motherboard. What they tell you is never connect more than 2, maybe top 3 fans. Daisy chain them onto a single port on the motherboard because it draws a lot of power onto the motherboard. In this case, I'm not planning on having more than 2 GPUs, so this is going to be enough for me. GPUs are extremely expensive right now. The one that I got was the Radeon 6700 RT, and those cards aren't cheap. They're 12 gigabyte GPUs, and they run about for $1,400. So imagine trying to build a rig where it actually has six GPUs. That's gonna break the bank. So basically, this is going to be, I'm going to start with 1 GPU, then I'm gonna see how much I get paid, and I'm gonna go on and move on from there to my second GPU as I get paid and move forward. What I did decided to do is not to go cheap on the rig, on the fans, on the gaming motherboard that I got, which is the Gigabyte 570 Aorus Ultra. This motherboard is awesome, and I wanted everything to be PCI Express 4.0. It's very important that you know how these ports are. So it comes with, out of the gate, these 2 super heavy duty PCI Express 4.0 boards. PCI Express, 4.0 101. This bus is 32 gigabytes per second. It has a capacity of 32 gigabytes per second if you have a single GPU. Now, if you were to put a second GPU, then the speed on this bus will actually drop to half. So this will be 15 and this will be 15. So, and if you use the 3.0, then obviously, it will continue to go as slow as this was getting in speed of about 8 gigabytes per second. Why is that important? Because I see a lot of people buying and building these fucking GPUs, these mining rigs, and they don't know what they're doing, and they go and they buy those fucking PCI risers. The PCI risers actually takes a 32 gigabyte per second bus and it converts it to USB. The speed on that USB 3.0 cable, just to have the card sitting up high, will change from 32 gigabytes per second on this bus to 6 gigabytes per second on the USB cord, on the USB cable. Why would you want to do that? So instead, you shouldn't buy that cheap shit. You want to be able to use the bus to the maximum. You want to be able to use the maximum speed on the card. So don't go cheap, because you get what you get. It's all about the hash rate and being able to process more transactions and to have a high hash rate, so they can actually give you more transactions for you to process. So instead, let me show you what I did instead. Okay, this is a PCIe 4.0 extension cable. It doesn't require any additional power. It has the locking mechanism in here, the locking tab, than you have in the USB risers. This is going to continue to utilize the 32 gigabyte bus that you have on the motherboard. I will connect. This is I think that this is 10 inches long. These are no cheap extension cables. Okay, this is an $85 PCI Express 4.0 extension cable, and this cable will guarantee that the speed, having the GPU up here, is going to be just as if it was sitting on the motherboard. So I have 3 of these cables. I'm gonna be using just one to start, because I only have one GPU right now. And as I actually drop more GPUs, I want to be able to use the maximum speed on those. Whether or not I end up using the small USBs, the small PCIe ports, and to go to a total of 5 GPUs, that's something that I'm going to determine in the future. So continue watching, and then you'll be able to see. So let's go on to finish the review for the Baseltech rig. Okay, now onto the motherboard. One thing that I'm really impressed is the acrylic. How thick the acrylic is for where the motherboard is sitting, or it's going to be sitting. And after watching a lot of videos, I noticed that people said, well, you gotta buy a power button. Of course, you need to be able to turn on the motherboard with a button once you connect power to it and you connect the PSU. But one thing that I noticed is I bought all the stuff and it came with the rig. So as you can see here, the rig actually has this board, and you can hear the click. And what happens is underneath they have a very small circuit here with a wire that plugs all the way here. Everything is included. Everything is included with the rig, as you can see here. So it has my power button, it has my reset button. All I have to do is press. Is very nicely done. I love how they did it. You don't have to get up your rig the way that you see it on YouTube, where guys buy a $1 power button and then they tie it to the side of the rig in order to power it on. This is very nicely done. It's part of the board. So when you drop your motherboard, all you got to do is make sure that you put the cable under the motherboard and then pull it out at the other end, so the cable is not just in the way. So this was very nicely done. The motherboard goes right here, sits right here. I haven't tied it, so you can see that these bars are adjustable. I'm going to be able to move them on this side. You got to be able to put the power supply. What I did is I went with SVGA, the 1000G Plus. Excellent ratings. It has the gold plating and it's expensive. It's about $350 and it goes only up to 1,000 watts, but it's well worth it. It's heavy duty. You don't want to be swapping power supplies 3 months from now. This is something that is going to be on 24/7, mining and making you money. So don't go cheap on these components. That's the reason why I decided to go with the 570 Aorus Ultra. Is the best gaming motherboard that is in the market right now. I love how they did the metal reinforcement for the PCI Express 4.0 buses, and it comes out of the box. It supports Wi-Fi 6.0. So in my case, where I'm at, I can run an Ethernet cable. So I'm going to be hooking through Wi-Fi. In my case, I got fiber optics in my house. So my speed is about 900 megabits per second. So it's extremely fast. And other people might have, a slower connection. They might have to connect through cable, but that's not the case. In my case, this is my second rig, so I decided to make sure that this is open air and this is nice, and it's all about the hash rate. So I'm gonna do another video on part 2. You'll be able to see we gotta install the operating system. We're gonna go with Hive OS. I'm gonna tell you the pluses and the minuses, the pros and cons of every single software that is out there that I tested. Some of them actually burned me. Some of them ended up being malware. So I'll give you all this information on part 2 when we install the software. Now, onto the motherboard, things that they don't really tell you when you're putting this together. These stud risers for the motherboard, they give you plenty of screws, so you can screw them on the other side of the board, okay? And then after you screw them on the other side of the board, then they start standing. Now when you screw from the top, you have something to screw on. So the screws, the board is acrylic, so it doesn't have the studs that already have the screws built in that are part of it. Instead, what they give you is a screw, so you can put the screw through the bottom, okay, and then secure the stud through the top, locked it in. Then what I did is I put my motherboard first over the acrylic, and I check which holes line up with the holes on the motherboard. So when I actually put the studs, I only put the studs that I needed, not every single one that was there. So I got some extra ones that were left that I didn't need. So you can see in here that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in total that are securing the motherboard onto the acrylic. Then I can actually mount the acrylic onto the rig, and I know that it's nicely secure. That's one thing. The other thing that they don't tell you about this is, please watch the videos on the installation and read the guide that comes with your motherboard. In this case, the Gigabyte puts a lot of plastic everywhere on this board, and some is visible, but on the M2s, if you were to have a solid state hard drive, they give you 3 ports for that, 3 M2 ports. And what happens is they have wrapped them with plastic underneath. So you actually have to come and you need to unscrew them, just simply to flip them, remove the blue plastic it has underneath, so you don't actually start a fire when you're passing power to the motherboard and the motherboard gets hot. You don't want any burned plastic or smells on the board. I watch a lot of videos. I got some really good information from guys that had this board, and then based on that, I was able to move forward. Let me go to part 2, and then I'll show you how to install the rest of the rig.